welcome back to Brooke and Jeremy Adventure Awaits. In this video, we're going to be talking about our last stop in our 15-day trip across Costa Rica, and this town that we went to was Uvita.
So to get to Uvita from Manuel Antonio, it's about a 1-hour drive along the coastal highway. So as we left Manuel Antonio, you have to drive through Quepos, and we decided to stop there to have some lunch. After we found parking just outside of the city center, we took a little walk down to the waterfront. There was that large Quepos sign. We saw some lizards there on the rocks, and you could just see the beautiful big beach. Nobody was on it. It wasn't being used.
It didn't seem like a beach that a lot of tourists would go to. Like there weren't a ton of like hotels along the beachfront or whatever.
So then, we decided to take a quick walk in and around through Quepos. There were lots of pharmacies, souvenir shops, bars, and restaurants. So lots of options. There was a bus depot in the center there as well. And we had decided on a little restaurant to have some lunch, and it turned out to be one of our favorite
there was this taco
meals.
salad that we had. It was massive and it was so delicious. So that was really good. But otherwise, a lot of the businesses were closed. Even though there were lots of people around and a lot of traffic, there were a bunch of places that were closed, not really sure why.
Yeah, it was neat to see the locals, just going about their day to day. People driving on older, like vintage motorcycles, scooters. There were four-wheelers or quads driving around town. It was just interesting, to see it.
Yeah.
Get a motorcycle, a quad, or washing machine. Some vintage bikes right there. Our guides was telling us that all of these palm trees were planted, I think it was in the 60s, in the 1960s. They used to be all banana plantation, but they can generate palm oil, which is bringing in more money for the country, so they got rid of all the banana plantations and put in all of these palm trees. But they're just everywhere all around the coast down here.
Yeah, you see them in rows and rows and rows, just perfectly planted.
On our first full day in Uvita, we had decided to go into Marino, Ballena National Park. From our Airbnb, it was just a short couple of minute drive down to the waterfront. We found parking. I think it was about 3,000 colones, or about $6
And there's lots of spots along there with parking options. It's not like there's only one spot. There's lots of different locations.
And I think from the parking lot that we had chosen, it was about a 2-minute walk into the entrance. $7 per person to get in. It's a bit of a walk out to the beach. There is some paths that take you in and around through the national park. But once we got up closer to the beach, there were some signs and some freshwater rivers that were flowing out into the Pacific, just warning people about crocodiles, not to feed them, not to swim in the fresh water.
We didn't see any, but they had the warnings up just in case, just to make sure people were aware.
All its glory. Well, at least we're going to be able to get out there.
Yeah, I think so.
So then once you get out onto the beach, it was just a massive stretch of sand.
Words can't even describe how big the beach is, like how wide the sand is, how far it stretches down. Like it's just massive, and barely any people there. You just have this massive beach area to yourself.
So when you first enter into the beach, this is where a lot of the locals have launched their boats to take people out on whale watching tours, snorkeling tours, deep sea fishing tours.
Which, I mean, we had contemplated doing a whale watching tour, but it's very specific, the seasons in which you can see them. And we were very close, but not quite at that point where the whales were really there yet. So we opted not to do it this time, but we've heard that it's actually quite amazing.
The humpback whales, the locals had said that they weren't really spotting too many of them. So we thought instead of spending $150 for a 2 or 3 hour boat ride, we would just save our money and put it towards something else.
Yeah.
So, by the time we got out to the sandbar area where the whale tail is, it was probably like a 10 or 15 minute walk. Like it's quite a ways out there.
It's quite a long tail.
Yeah, quite a long tail. So the idea is that you want to get there when the tide is low, because when the tide is low, you can walk right out onto the tail, and there's a massive stretch that goes across of a sandbar. Now, this particular day we got there and the tide was already starting to come in. So Brooke was a
I
little
was
nervous.
a little nervous because,
and
well, we had watched a lot of videos before we went to Uvita of other people walking on the whale tail, and you can see once the tide does start coming in,
it comes quickly.
Yeah, it happens fast. So I mean, what's neat about it is, you know, it's almost like you have two different beaches where the water's coming up on the beach, but then as the tide rises, they're getting closer and closer together. So if you're wanting to walk all the way out to the end of the tail and see it, well, you have to walk all the way back before it's too late.
Mom over here is having a freak out. The water's gonna get too deep for us. I think it's gonna be fine. Everyone else is coming back as we're going out. This is how you get the whale tail done in 5 minutes here. We're just racing around before the tide starts coming in.
So it creates a really neat effect because you have the Pacific Ocean with waves coming in from two different sides. So as the waves come crashing in from the left and from the right, they actually hit each other and then continue to go the opposite direction. So it's just a really cool effect.
Especially seeing it from beginning to end.
Yeah, so we were speed walking to get out there. Definitely, we wanted to get out, be able to take some pictures and get back to shore safely.
No, you can see how it's getting deeper for sure. Yeah, definitely deeper now. Uvita! So, I think we're gonna come back tomorrow and maybe spend the whole day here, or a good chunk of the day here at the beach.
Sandhollers, isn't that what
Oh
these look
yeah,
like?
yeah.
With
How
the
cool
little
is that?
like design on it. Very cool.
Neat. Super cool.
And just to add on to all of the things about the tide coming in and out, they do have tide charts online that you can check out so that you know where the tide is at and, you know, when the best time would be to see the whale tail or see the tide coming in. So you can definitely check that out online because it does change depending on time of day and season, etc. But in terms of the actual beach area, you know, it is a beautiful beach to swim in. I mean, the sand, like we said, goes on forever, and there's, you know, no rocks, no seaweed. You know, you can swim because it wasn't busy. You could literally just pick any part of the beach you wanted to. Again, there are, you know, some riptide currents and some huge waves to be aware of. And also because you're in the national park, there aren't any, you know, umbrellas and chairs.
Vendors, restaurants. There were restaurants outside of the national park. So it was only a 10 or 15 minute walk to go out. Once you pay, once you pay, you have full day access, so you can come and go. So if you needed to go out and have some food, I'm sure you could even bring lunch in. They didn't advise that you couldn't take
not
food
like
in.
in Manuel Antonio.
No, but there were no monkeys running around, so it was a little safer to bring food in there. Now you can go up onto the mountainside on the opposite, like on the backdrop of the national park. There are a number of restaurants and bars that are up high into the hills where you get a great look down over the whale tail when the tide is low. We tried to do that on one of our evenings, but we just missed it and it was pouring rain.
Yeah, I was gonna say the rain just happened to come in at that moment too, so it
wasn't good timing. So the other activity we decided to do on our first full day in Uvita was to go and visit the Nauyaca Waterfalls. So this is a two-tiered waterfall that is just absolutely spectacular and beautiful. So it's about a 30-minute drive to get from Uvita to the Nauyaca Waterfalls. You're basically heading back towards Manuel Antonio. So it's kind of smack dab right in the middle. We had pre-paid and signed up for the tour online, which you can do easily. So once you arrive at the site, there's parking on the street. You have to go in and register. There are bathrooms there. We had also opted, instead of doing a 5 or 6 kilometer hike into the falls, you have the option of either horseback riding or you can actually get on a 4x4 Jeep and they will drive you right into the falls. So you have about a 3-hour window. It's 30 minutes to get in on the Jeep. You have about 2 hours to enjoy the waterfalls and then a 30-minute drive back out.
So once you're done that, then you actually have to drive down into this area and park the vehicle. And then there's this like open aired 4x4 Jeep that actually brings you up to the falls. And yeah, that was really, really interesting because it was like, super windy roads and, it was very steep in some parts, but the views on the way up were spectacular. When they first drop you off, there are change rooms and washrooms, if you didn't put your bathing suit on yet or whatever,
Right.
They have all that there. And then you kind of have the option of, the upper tier or the lower tier. So you can either walk to the upper tier where it's just like a viewing point and that's where the first part of the waterfall is, or you can go down to the lower tier, which is the bottom part of the waterfall, and that's where you can swim and everything like that. So we thought we would start by going to the viewing area to see what the top part looked like.
Yeah, so you're not supposed to swim here. This is just for taking photos. It's got the Nauyaca sign there, so you can do your Instagram shot. But beautiful. Well, what do we think? Pretty incredible? When you head back out towards the entryway and you see path 2 that takes you down to the lower deck, this one is a little more challenging. So definitely you need to be careful. It's slippery. They have wooden railings with like sticks set up for you to hold on to. Stone, staircases. So it definitely, you want to be careful.
It's a little rickety, a little slippery. So you definitely,
when you get
want
down,
to take your time.
When you get down to that lower pool, it's beautiful azure blue water. There is a really strong spray that comes off of there, so it made it difficult to get video and pictures just because you're constantly getting soaking wet. And again, it's very rocky surface, so
and because
super
it's
slippery.
wet,
Yeah, so you just need to be careful. But we did jump in. We had a little swim and cool off freezing cold water.
Yeah, it was a lot colder than I thought it was going to be actually.
Yeah, but nice to be able to cool off on such a hot day.
And then from the bottom, you can see the top tier of the waterfall. So it was just super beautiful to see the waterfall and then the second part that goes into the pool and then be able to swim in it as well. It was a really, really cool experience.
We were lucky that we got there so early, so there really weren't that many people around. But yeah, it was a great day. Now on the way out with the Jeep, we actually did get to spot some wildlife. There was that little white-nosed coati that we saw running around, and then we also saw a white-tailed deer on the road. So that was really neat too.
Our driver stopped so that we could take some video and photos, which was kind of nice.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Last day in Uvita, we're stopping back in where the Pizza Time restaurant is. In the morning, they switch over to bagels and breakfast, so we thought we would give it a shot. It's got the #1 rating. Of course, we took some pictures here. Brody did not want to do it. Side right here. So I think at 2 o'clock they switch over at lunchtime. That looks delicious. Buenos dias.
So our last day in Uvita, we decided to go back into Marino, Ballena National Park. We wanted to just enjoy the beach again. We knew we were heading back home within a couple of days, and it was going to be one of our last opportunities to get into the Pacific Ocean. So the day started out very overcast. It did not look
we
great.
thought it was going to rain and we weren't going to have much time, but
it did actually rain. So we also wanted to see the scarlet macaws. We'd watched umpteen videos where people saw them inside the national park, and we walked that beach from end to end. Did not see a single scarlet macaw. We did have the Uvita beach dog follow us around. This thing
we made
would not
a friend.
leave us alone. So that was kind of fun, but Brody wanted to maximize his time in the beach swimming. He loves those giant waves.
Last beach day. Brody wants to take full advantage. Crazy that almost 2 weeks has whizzed by on us. Oh, look at that sand dollar. Look at the size of that bad boy.
That's the one that Brody had a part of it, I thought.
All right, we are low tide now. Look at how big this beach is here. Uvita, Marino, Ballena National Park. We're at the Whale Tail. Second day. When we came yesterday, the tide was already starting to come in. It was mostly sand on the way out. But today you can see all the way, the whole sandbar. Well, it's our last day on the beach. And unfortunately tomorrow we're driving back to Liberia from Uvita. And then the next day, Saturday, heading home to Toronto. Brody is trying to get as much sun in as he possibly can. Get rid of that Casper, the ghost body. And yeah, everyone's feeling the feels. It's been a great 2 weeks here, but we're sad that we have to go and back to reality.
Trying not to cry about it.
Just trying to take it all in and enjoy our last 48 hours before we get on that plane.
After the afternoon hit, the skies opened up. It was
it ended up being beautiful.
It was just turned out to be a gorgeous day. We got there and enjoyed the low tide. And again, we're just surprised at how big.
Oh, the beach is massive.
Not only just the sandbar of the Whale Tail, how wide it was when the tide was low, but just how big that beach is. And like, we were the only people there.
It seemed like
it just felt like you had the entire national park and beach to yourself. It was just incredible.
Just so beautiful. You see all the water in and amongst the rocks.
Yeah, all the little pools.
Covers a lot of it. So overall, we loved Uvita, and we were definitely happy that we went there. A couple of things that we would say about the town itself. It is sort of a developing area. Maybe that's why it wasn't crazy busy. So especially the Airbnb that we were at, there's a bunch of development that is going on, but because of that, some of the roads still haven't been paved, so you still kind of feel like you're off-roading.
A lot of potholes.
And again.
Because it was rainy season and it had rained, it was very muddy, so it wasn't ideal for walking around.
We were driving to get to different restaurants and
there's a great grocery store right out on the main highway with a lot of restaurants. So there were lots of
the main
options
amenities were on the main highway.
Out on the main highway. So there's definitely lots around, lots to do. We spent an afternoon at the Whale Tail Brewery, which you're going to see coming up. Just had a fantastic time there and enjoyed the beers.
And the Jenga.
And the Jenga, yep. So inside the Whale Tail Brewery, it just had a great, cool little vibe. They had a stage where, musicians could come on and play. Lots of tables for everybody. We did notice the Bitcoin symbol there. You can pay with your Bitcoin. And we just thought it was a great little vibe there. Now, of course, we were there during the day, so there were really not too many people around. We had the whole place to ourselves. But yeah, lots of seating, table games. They had table Jenga, they had cornhole. My buddy Dave would be excited. You could pay with your Bitcoin and play cornhole. And a little further out back, they had a really neat patio setup where you could hang out with your friends.
Outdoor patio area.
We really enjoyed our afternoon there. Lots of games. Yeah, it was fun for the whole family. Definitely highly recommend a trip to the Whale Tail Brewery.
After all kinds of whining, she got her piece. Oh my goodness, Brody got it. Now it's on me.
This is
the loser. Well, it is definitely a rainy season. Hey, Mr. Whiskers. Hey, baby. Whale Tail Brewery cat. Check. There is an awning. We can kind of sneak through and try not to get soaked. Costa Rica in the rainy season. 1, 2, 3, go! Pura vida.
We just wanted to give you a little taste of what driving around in Costa Rica is like during the rainy season. And while we were in Uvita in our last couple of days, we definitely experienced some torrential rain. So here, you see us driving down the street. It is coming down so hard you can barely see out the windshield. Also, some of these roads got washed out. They just don't seem to have the drainage systems in place like we do in North America to allow for runoff of all this water, the rainwater. So there's definitely lots of pooling with all the dirt roads and potholes. They fill up, they get quite muddy. So it definitely made for some interesting driving for sure. We were definitely happy to have the SUV while we were driving through Costa Rica. We wanted to thank you again for following us along on our 15-day road trip across Costa Rica, where we took you from La Fortuna to Monteverde in the Cloud Forest, all the way down the Pacific coast to Manuel Antonio, and then finished off in Uvita. We thoroughly enjoyed Costa Rica, and we hope that these 4 travel guides will help you in planning your next trip to Costa Rica.
Yeah, and moving forward, we actually have some huge travel plans coming up this upcoming summer. We are heading back to Southeast Asia, where we're going to be going back to Thailand. And then from there, we're actually going to go to Vietnam, which we have not been to before.
Yes.
From there, we're going to go back to Lombok, Indonesia, which we love so much.
Love Lombok.
And then we've never been, but we are going to be heading to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia from there. So it's going to be, pretty much the entire summer, so 2 months. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be excited to get some videos together and share our experiences when that trip comes.
Thanks for watching.
Cheers. So the Airbnb that we stayed at in Uvita was amazing. It was definitely the best accommodations that we had in Costa Rica. Felt like it was pretty much brand new.
Yeah.
The nice, bright, open concept with the high ceilings and
tons of windows.
And really good functioning AC. 2 rooms with both of them had big king size beds, which were
most comfortable beds we slept in.
So comfortable. And then it had a nice little backyard with the sitting area, and it was just super big and new and comfy. So I would highly recommend that.
Yeah.